All right, so where we left off, guys, we talked about the progressive era, and we're talking about the problem and the solution. The Gilded Age being the problem, and of course, the progressive era being the solution. So now we're on problem 4. Now, there was a major problem going on in the United States during the early 1900s and the late 1800s. And this is where we had organized groups that controlled a city through corrupt and dishonest actions. Okay, this is we had corruption. It was huge in the United States. It was a major problem, and the entity that controlled these cities were known as political machines. It is a term given to describe that political party who, by any means necessary, were going to do certain things to maintain power, and we'll kind of see some of the things here in a minute. So the solution, okay, the problem, political machines. The solution, we have a couple of things. The first solution to this, and just in general, was to give people, the people who vote, give them more power at the city and even the state level. So the first thing is they wanted to introduce was something known, but first here, this image right here kind of shows you, and you were going to begin to see a lot of these political cartoons, images that kind of show and describe what is going on in American society at this time. And you can see the party boss was considered the head of the political machine, and you kind of see he's giving out favors and people are kind of reaching out for him. So, so the political machines, guys, to kind of counter them, the first thing that was introduced was the initiative. This is where people could suggest new laws by showing public support for their proposed laws by getting signatures. So let's say I had a major issue that was going on in Barnesville, and I wanted to introduce a new law. Well, I would write up this new law, and then I would go around, I would take the initiative, this initiative process, and I would go around and I would get signatures. Signatures that say people support what I'm saying. If I get enough signatures, I could then force kind of a vote on the issue, and that is known as a referendum. Just understand, referendum. Now, this is important, okay? So a referendum is just a public vote on an issue. If I, as an everyday average citizen, got enough, if I took the initiative process and I got enough signatures and I went around and I got these signatures and I wanted to have a referendum, a public vote, that would be initiated through me. If the government said, you know what, we cannot decide on this issue, let's have a referendum. Then you can also have a referendum on an issue that maybe a local city council member wants to get passed. So the referendum can start two ways, okay? Either a public individual citizen can do it, or the mayor of the city could say, hey, I want this to go to a referendum. Now, in both of these aspects, both allow voters to suggest and, big idea here, approve laws directly without going through state legislators. So could we have someone that not one single person in government wanted, but an individual wanted, have that law go through? Yes, and that is because of this initiative process. Now, another way to kind of control state and local politics of those political machines was a recall, okay? A recall election. And guys, this is exactly what it says it is. It's just citizens could remove public officials. It's that simple. It's kind of like if there's a contaminated box of peanut butter and they have a recall on it. That means they need to take it back. You have some bad ramen noodles that has some vanilla or something. Who knows? The companies are going to recall that. And so that's just, as citizens, we can do that. Does this happen a lot? No, but it does happen. If anybody know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is, you'll know that he actually became governor of California because they recalled the previous governor. And so he kind of was able to get into politics that way. Now, also at the state level, we have the 17th Amendment. And so I'm going to explain what's going on in the image here in a minute. But this was a shift and a change. prior to the 17th Amendment, state legislators chose the senators. Okay. Now, as a change to the 17th Amendment, the direct election of senators. So meaning that the people got to vote on who they wanted as senators. Now this is big idea because we have a term here. We have a term here. I'm gonna throw it at you. Ending state legislative cronyism responsible for the appointment of senators. And I'm gonna show you a political cartoon here next to kind of then a crony, okay, is like someone who works for somebody. So this is kind of the best way. This is another political cartoon that kind of describes what was going on in state legislators. So what it was argued is that you can see here, if you look over this machine, this guy's putting in a money bag that has $1 million on it. So he just drops this. He just drops this into the bucket, and then the machine opens up the door, and you can see how it says U.S. Senate. So and it says right here, put $1 million in the slot and get a censorship, and then it has the state legislator kind of symbolized as it. So you can see what's going on, and they want people to know this is happening. And so because of this, they're saying, hey, we want to directly elect our senators. Now, before we get into that, I do kind of want to make sure that we understand this. There was, like Ida Tarbell, who was a muckraker, who was exposing all the muck of the robber barons and big business. There was also a guy by the name of Lincoln Steffens. He was another muckraker. He was raking up the muck that was that of the political machines. And this is from his book, The Shame of the Cities, written in 1904. And pretty much it goes as, the police are forbidden by law to stand within 30 feet of the polls, meaning the voting polls. Here we go. This is where corruption comes in. But they are at the box, meaning they're at the voting box. And they're making sure to see that the Republican political machine's orders are obeyed, and that repeaters whom they help to furnish are permitted to vote without intimidation on the names the police have supplied. Whoa, okay. The editor of an anti-machine paper who was looking about for himself once told me that a ward leader, meaning a police ward, like an area, who knew him well, asked him into the polling place. I'll show you how it's done, he said. And he had the repeaters go around and around, voting again and again on the names handed to them on slips. The business proceeds with very few hitches. There is more jesting than more fighting. Violence in the past had its effect and is not often necessary nowadays. But if it is needed, the police are there to apply it. Guys, this is voter fraud through and through. This is just where the political machine in power is in charge of the police, and then making sure police allow voters to go around and around again and again and vote to make sure that political machine stays in power. So this is why we saw the progressive era. This is a major example of why we were seeing these type of things kind of go in. So we'll stop there, and then we'll finish up the rest of this next time. And always remember to smile, because of course it is contagious.